because the city needs order. We're building 20 markets. The markets that have excess people will have to work within their limits. It is true at that point, the political atmosphere had been muddied because we had agreed with the market traders. Someone was saying they introduced me to these people. The chairman of Wakulima market is called Tony. He was my youth leader in TNA when I was the chairman. Yeah. We know these people, we speak to them. They want those efficiencies. Remember, less than 2 years ago, 52 women were killed in Londiani because of selling on the road. They were killed. Do we wait for an accident in Nairobi for us to relocate them, yet we've completed a market somewhere for wholesale? So we had agreed and we will continue with that plan. And it is not to move the market. It was really expressed badly by, friends of Cherargei, as is claimed. We're not moving any market. The capacity of Wakulima was 97 trucks for wholesale. The 90th truck will go to Kangundo Road. The capacity of the traders was around, and today you'll find 300 trucks. The capacity for traders was less than 1,000. The 1,000 and first will go to Kangundo Road. We're building another market. We're redoing Toy Market. Mutuini Market right now, if you go, is moving very fast. And it is right on a bypass.
Yeah. Governor, just on that line, even as we sit here today, the traders who are trading outside Wakulima market on the streets, they are there now. I've seen it with my own eyes today.
Yeah, and we'll
so what was the fuss all about? I mean, because the impression you gave us is that you had agreements with the traders to move to Kangundo Road. Why are they still there?
It's not the same traders. It's hawkers.
So, then what is the point of moving one person only to be replaced by another?
You have to keep doing it. On theory, Senator, it's good to say we've moved them. Every single day is an enforcement day. Every single day.
So high work.
It must work.
It is not working.
It work. It must.
But it's not working yet.
It's not working yet.
It is working to a great extent, and I will show you.
So maybe
look at the level of
honorable senators.
How many have you relocated from Wakulima market to Kangundo? So that, as you say, the people who are selling outside are hawkers.
They are hawkers.
How many have you relocated? And it's good the chair of Toy and the Wakulima market, Tony.
I think it would be beneficial for the actual committee to look into those details.
Which actual committee?
You have a committee on trade, don't you?
Governor, you have been very generous with information on other matters. When it comes to this, you think it should be handled by another committee? I don't think that's being fair.
No, because I'll give you the information I have. My apologies.
With the truth,
my apologies, Chair. If you look at the turnover of different people they're aching out a living. Chair, in the last 2 years, there have not been running battles in this city, as used to be. You remember, you'd hear stories of hawkers being stabbed with pliers, fighting with the city. You've not had it in 2 years. You've not had a strike of matatus in 2 years because of our continuous engagement with them. And so at times, even if it might, sometimes, have a week of calm and they come back, there's a way we engage them pragmatically and then move them in a humane way. If we took the option of now putting armed police there and start beating up people, it will not work. So, yes, there could be days when traders show up, we engage them. You'll find 2 days where it is clean. Eventually, it has to settle. More markets. Right now, the discussion with them is about Mwariro. Yeah? And they've come to us as recently as last week through my CEC. That's why I'm saying a committee would go deeper into it because we're discussing the audit. Through my CEC just allow me to finish.
Yeah.
Through the CEC of markets, asking that yes, if you can give us space outside the market, the parking area at Mwariro, then we'd be happy to move from there. We want them then, okay, we agree, maybe for some of you, Kangundo is too far, come to Mwariro. It is a continuous engagement. It is not black and white, start and stop. Theoretically it is, but practically, when you're actually in there, it doesn't work.
We started off very well. It's like a visit to the doctors, and you need to be very clear about your symptoms so that we know what you're suffering from and prescribe the proper medicine. But now if you start to confuse us on the actual state of affairs in some of these areas, we don't know how to help. Are you sure that none of the people who was relocated from Wakulima is back there? You are saying those are new people.
I can say that very confidently. I can say that quite confidently. Yeah. Because you see, even the vehicles have registration numbers.
It's not the vehicles. The overriding, and I even supported you on that. We don't want what happened in Londiani to happen at Wakulima. They're on the road even if we left this room and went there with you now. But you cannot say they are new people. I know some of those traders.
Then convince them to go. If you know, help us. Let's work together.
On the day I sit there, Governor, I will have the persuasive powers to move them. But you cannot ascribe.
I wish you well.
You cannot ascribe work that has been assigned to you constitutionally to your senator.
Let me bring this session to a close so that we move to the next one.
Yeah.
But it is our view that just by looking at financial statements is not sufficient oversight over Nairobi.
Yes.
And just as the way we are saying, we need to have different arrangements for cities in everything.
Even
we cannot take the approach I take for oversight of Homa Bay cannot be the same approach I take for Nairobi. And so that's why all these comments coming from senators, they are extremely valid and they are within the mandate of this committee. And members, I think Nairobi being just a stone throw away, in the next session, we probably need to be more on the ground. Because instead of talking about Wakulima in a boardroom, all we need to do is to go there. Instead of talking about the rivers, all we need is to go there.
Chair, I have a personal frustration in this committee where I feel that Nairobi doesn't appear as often as other governors. I've seen some governors here more than enough times. And the reason why all these issues build up is because I don't feel like we have enough sessions with Nairobi. So even from your chair, I think you need to give us more time with the Nairobi County government. And lastly, just because he has brought up markets, there was an issue, Governor, we raised with you about Kahawa West Market, where your people allowed stalls to be built outside the gate of the market. And you had given us an assurance that those stalls will be removed. Have those stalls been removed?
No. And they won't be removed, Senator. What we found when we looked into it, there had been extensive public participation with the people of the market. And there's new construction going on. What they've agreed to do is to do differentiation of what is sold at the stalls, so that you don't have the same product in the market being sold outside the store. And I'll be very happy to furnish you with the public participation report there. I understand, I know you went there, I know the issues I know the chair of that market and the MCA and whatnot, but they'd actually done that participation, because I looked into it. I really, just like every other ward, it's a ward very close to my heart, and I've looked into it. Pragmatically, we don't have enough trading spaces for all our people. Even with the new construction, which is going on right now, if you go to see, that even won't be enough. So long as there's differentiation, because you don't want people selling outside the market what is inside the market. None will go inside the market, and so you'll kill your own market where you're putting money to. So work with me to make sure that we do that differentiation properly. So
I'll be happy to see the report. If you are telling me that the traders inside agreed to that, I'll be happy to see that report.
Okay. Well, we will share that.
Yeah, I think Nairobi is a complex organization. You are thinking about hawkers, you're thinking about markets, you're thinking about green bonds, you're thinking about BRT, Namata, water. So you went for the job, you left us here in Parliament. We will put you under pressure to perform.
I work best like that. And Chair, I think the Senator of Nairobi is correct, and yourself. A lot of the things, you've asked which of these projects will you do, which ones can you do. When we go together to a house in Ngando that has never received water, and you open the tap, that is audit. If we go together to better than the documents, if we go out there to see what this revenue we're raising and that we've increased is doing on the ground. So I'm very happy and open to that. When you go to Pumwani and see the first ICU there, Mama Lucy, see the NICU at Mbagathi, see what is happening in Mutwini, where for the first time, people are being referred from private facilities to a public facility because of the machinery. And one of the questions actually Senator Sifuna, when visited us with the health committee, said there's no X-ray. And I put that CEO to task because what he had been telling you possibly was not reflective. Today, go there. It is amazing. So oversight builds institutions. And I am a believer in oversight. I've been a senator longer than I've been a governor. So Chair, I'm very open to that. I think finally, on the questions that had been...
That's a final response, then we go to the report.
Finally, on the questions that have been asked, 2020-21, which is when NMS just took over, was 10. 21-22 was 8.9. Then when we came, 10.5 billion, which was the second highest in the history of devolution in Nairobi, because the other higher one was 2015-16, when we did regularization, was 10.5, and the last one is 12.8 billion, which in the last few days, we were targeting 13 billion, but the last few days, you remember that was June, and you know what was happening towards the end of June. With a lot of the protests within the city, we had a sharp decline in our revenue collection due to the protests at that time. The potential of Nairobi is extremely high. And I'll give you an example. And I need your help as a Senate.
What's the figure for the potential?
For 67 billion. Yeah, that is according to World Bank, to the CRA. They talk about 67. I think
so this is just about 25% of that potential.
And I think it is much higher. The target we put, for instance, annually is our own target. You know, when you say we want to do 20 billion, we believe that with measures and everything held constant, we can get to 20 billion. And I'll give you an example without specifying the current transaction. It might jeopardize it. One of the regularizations we're currently doing in Nairobi, part of Eastlands, just one scheme with 20,000 settlers is going to give us 7 billion at a go in the next few days if we conclude. You know, right now they're conducting an aerial survey. People had settled in. It was privately owned. They have built buildings without approvals of the county government. We've said for each and every approved subdivision, because we have to approve the subdivision.
But that's a windfall, because you won't get it in the subsequent year.
Yeah, but that's what happened in 15-16. So that's a windfall, and that's one scheme. You know, we've not looked at, there's so many schemes. There's Kiambu Dandora, there's Embakasi Ranching, there's the whole of pipeline. And so currently, we have two options. We have the regularization bill in the County Assembly of Nairobi, but we also have PLUPA, the Physical Land Use Planning Act, on which we can do that regularization of unauthorized developments. That alone can give us extra from the 12.8 billion, another extra 20-30 billion. You know, support we need from you. The biggest revenue stream in any city is property taxes. Yeah, globally. Even in Nairobi, it's land rates. I'm happy with my team that we were able first to move to a recent valuation role. Every other part of the country is stuck in 1980s valuation role. We are at 2019 valuation role, but it's 0.015% of the value, which is okay because you don't want to shock people with 3 times or 4 times what they've been paying. Meaning, even for those who what they need to pay today is more than twice, they can only pay twice. If it's more than 100% of what you're paying, we've allowed them to pay in installments. So you can pay monthly for 10 months, leaving 2 months for enforcement action by us. But here's a challenge, Chair. 2 things. One, in our records, we have 175,000 parcels with attributes. This means it's 175,000 billable properties. And we have around 50,000 accounts on Nairobi Pay. The 50,000 accounts do not cover the 175,000 parcels. The Ministry of Lands has 255,000 parcels in their records for Nairobi with attributes. We have been working to get this data, but it's been almost elusive to get it. Because all we want is to be able to know who to bill and then who to enforce on. If we just do that fast, even with the current rate, we do that fast with the current rates, then what we get from property taxes is going to more than double, because you're talking about 50,000 accounts. Very few people have more than 1 parcel, you know.
Chair, just so that we help the governor. Governor, the CS of Lands has been so far very cooperative on matters that we have raised, especially affecting land grabbing in Nairobi, starting with Tomboya Social Hall and the others. So that is something we can do for you as a Senate. Bring that request through your senator. We will be able to get that information for you.
Thank you, Senator. Governor, I think we need to stop there and come back to this report, because even some of those figures have a bearing on the receiver of revenue. In fact, I was just looking at the top page of this report, where the Auditor General talks of your collection of 450 million from property rent. I think it's quite inverted. ideally property rent, as you said, in a city should be higher than land rates. That's what you're saying.
No, when I say property taxes, I mean land rates. Property rent is our houses. So those who are in Kanzo flats, in Eastlands, in Woodley, that is what we call it.
That's a 450 million.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just come back to the systems and